In this question, we're being asked to graph this function or equation. Um, this is a linear equation, and I know that mostly because there's no exponents in here. I've got an x and a y, and there's not any exponents, no absolute value. So this looks like a linear equation, so that means it graphs as a straight line. And the other giveaway is if you look at the answers, all the answers are straight lines. So I'm going to show you two ways to do this. So the first way is, I think, the easiest way. The first way is by using point slope form. And in order to do this, you would have to recognize that this equation that they gave us is in point slope form. And again, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where x1 and y1, those values give you a point on the graph, and then m gives you the slope of the graph. Okay? So if I recognize this is in point slope form, then I know 1 is my y1, 3 is my x1, and 2 is my m, or my slope. Now, here's one thing you got to be careful of here. The form is y minus y1. So if you have a plus 1 here, that means your y1 value is actually negative 1. Likewise, with the 3, it's minus x1. So since it's plus 3, that means my x1 is actually negative 3. So I have a point. This is x1, y1. And that point is negative 3, negative 1. So that's why it's called point slope form, because it gives you a point and it gives you a slope. And then the slope, again, the m is equal to 2. And I'm going to write that as 2 over 1. So if my slope doesn't come in as a fraction, it's just a whole number, put it over 1, because we're going to use rise over run to graph this. Rise over run. And hopefully, I'm not spending a lot of time talking about rise over run and slope because I'm assuming that you already kind of know that. All right. So first thing you would do is graph the point negative 3, negative 1. And so negative 3, negative 1. Let me show you with my pointer here. That would be left 3 and down 1. So this graph goes through that point. C does not go through negative 3, negative 1. So C is out. B doesn't go through it. And actually, D doesn't go through it either. So far, I already know that the answer is A. But let's just double check this. So I'm gonna put a little dot here at negative 3, 1. So I put a dot there. And now I'm going to use the slope, rise over run it, and I'm going to rise 2. So that means I'm going to go up 2, and I'm going to go over 1, and that gives me that point right there. So that confirms that this is the right one. Now, if you're good with point slope form, you can pause it there. If not, I'm going to show you slope intercept form. This is the form that most students remember, and it's y equals mx plus b, where m is again the slope, and b is the y-intercept. It's where the graph crosses the y-axis. So this equation is not in slope-intercept form. Again, it's in point slope form. But we can modify it. We can move things around, rearrange things, and get it into slope-intercept form. So I have a lot of students that are most comfortable with slope-intercept form, and they choose to almost always change an equation or a function into that form. So let's look at how to do that, okay? So the first thing I want to do is distribute to get rid of the parentheses here. So I'm going to multiply this 2 into the parentheses. And now I will have y plus 1 equals 2x plus 6. So I just multiplied x and 3 by 2. Okay, so I'm really close to slope-intercept form if you look at it. I just need to isolate the y. And so I need to get rid of this plus 1. So I would subtract 1 on both sides, minus 1, minus 1. And I'm subtracting the 1 from the 6 because those are like terms. Can't subtract 1 from a 2x. Okay, so that gets rid of the 1 over here because that's 0. So now I'm left with y equals 2x plus 5. And so my slope is 2, which is the same slope we got before. And again, that's rise over run. Rise over run. And then 5 is my b, which is my y-intercept. So the way you graph this using slope-intercept form is you first graph the y-intercept, so the 5 here. So we already know the answer is A, so let's start there. So I would go to the y-axis, and it crosses the y-axis at 5, so that gives me that point right there. Okay, then my next point I would get by using the slope again and doing rise over run. Now, I always teach my students when they rise, you go up, and then you either go left or you go right. And if it's a negative slope, you go left. If it's a positive slope, you go right. Now, your teacher might have taught you differently, and that's fine. That's not incorrect. That's just the way that I teach it. Okay. But if you look, I don't have room to go up to. It takes me off the graph. So going up to and to the right one is the same thing as going down to and to the left one. And that would give me that point there, which again is on the graph, again showing that A is the correct answer. So there's two different ways to do it, point slope form or slope intercept form. Point slope, I think, is the quickest, but if you disagree, it's fine. Change it into slope intercept form. All right, so stick with it, keep up the hard work, and you will master the math.